So, just wanted to say somebody here along with me has a good sense of humor, so not responsible beyond this point. Just wanted to say that. But as I am here with the privilege and honor to serve, I just want to remind, I speak with inspiration, so what we'll share is for everyone, including myself, and then we'll go from there. So that being said, I just wanted to say, growing up in my home, prayer was a big thing. And my prayer as a kid were very conditional prayers. There was almost like bargaining. I was just bargaining with God for something. If you give me this, I'll do this. That's not my prayer. And I didn't see anything wrong in it because I was still sincere. And I was not trying to leverage myself. I was just leveraging. If you give me that, we'll sort it out. But as I matured and grew up, my prayers were still the same. It didn't go anywhere. But the household, the way it was set up, praying was very much routine. And we all prayed. And as I'm reflecting back to what the starting piece of our conversation is, I'm recognizing that my parents were always such a big believer in prayers. They were able to physically help a situation or not, but they would definitely give an offering of prayer for the situation circumstance. So, and I come to this point for just a moment of appreciation. Just not too long ago, somebody in this room was in need of healing, and some of us healers have directed those healing prayers towards the well-being of that person. She's sitting right at the back of the thing. So prayers have been received, and she's ready to go again at life. So watch out. Just wanted to say. But what I'm wanting to say is prayers and healings work. We do not understand the timing because I still am figuring out what the timing of thing is. But the healing moves, and it moves in the best way possible where it's needed the most. And it takes care of things that we don't know what needs to be taken care of. So at minimum, say a sincere prayer. Even if you're bargaining, do it sincerely. So if that prayer fulfills, then you do your part. Fulfill the bargain. And that's all I have to say, because I know I am reflecting on this piece. I have fulfilled a lot of my bargains. There were a few occasions I would adjust my bargain once things were happening. Things didn't go out so well. So learn from my own experience, and I'm pretty sure you have your own experiences. So the healing and the prayer, please continue to do that. But what we're going to talk about is this song, unbeknownstly, was picked up in song number 41 that we say. They're not the same words, but I know the tune because we used to sing this song back home in India. So I'm familiar with the rhythm and this tune. But I would like to say, because I was sitting here, like, what is the opening part of the bigger part of the conversation? Because whoever's talking here, they're going to go take us in a different direction. So I'll just read the fourth verse that we were trying to sing and we were not just getting anywhere. Thank you for your musicality. It has nothing to do with you. I just wanted to say that. So the fourth verse says, fill us with living vision, heal our wounds that we may be bound as one beyond division. In the struggle to be free, give us wisdom, grant us courage, ears to hear and ears to see. Ears to hear and ears to see. I just want you to recognize these ears to hear and eyes to see. Because everything that we have an understanding, everything that we're participating with forms a relationship of some sort. Colloquially, a relationship is very literal between two people, an engagement, an exchange. But regardless of what we are doing, we are creating a relationship. Like in this moment, my relationship in this participation is that somebody is going to push these words out of me towards you, and your relationship with that is of active listening. Not just meandering away in your thoughts, which is bound to happen at some point, but the whole idea is the message is being delivered through here, and you're on the receiving end. But in a much simpler way, you're sitting in these pews, the relationship, you're sitting in there, and the relationship of the pew to you is to keep you steady and firm where you're seated, right? But as you get in and out of the chair for the music or anything, or through my words, the relationship that will be formed is uniquely to you. because the word's going to go through your ears, go into your consciousness, it's going to do its job, and you might think of your own examples, your own life story to where that is. So my operational word within those relationships are, there is a participation, right? If you were to sit in this pew and start to rock throughout the service, it's bound to make some noise, or it's bound to displace wherever it's seated. So things can change, right? And that's just the simple thing about relationship is the relationships are always evolving, changing. But ears to hear and eyes to see are the internal organisms that says, what about this relationship is speaking to me at what level of my growth and development, right? So we all love to have our giftedness that we hold, and I know most of us in this room are aware of their gifts, but even that is a relationship, right? If we are not exercising or practicing with our God-given gifts, it will become faded, or it will become not as good as it can be. So that relationship is coexisting at all times, right? And at the same point, the effort is to continue to practice the sense of the listening ear on the inside and the seeing eye on the inside. Because it speaks to us here, which is not really in the words, it is in the vibration of things. How does one experience make you feel or leave you the way you feel within that? And we have to recognize that's an operative energy there. Words are spoken, but the vibration of those words stays with us for a very long time. And I'm pretty sure all of us have heard some of these words and phrases that we still can feel them just that day they were being said, right? So the vibrational spaces are always working. But what else is working within the relationship organism here in the part is, so using a very simple example, you sow a seed, you leave it alone, it sprouts, it goes on and on and on. You know, it becomes a big tree or whatever seed you planted, you're starting to see that. But also what is happening in that space is separation and adhesion. Cells are separating, and the in-between spaces with those cells, if you understand, I'm just using very poorly, I know that, but if you understand scar tissue hurt. But if it's a proper healing, proper adhesion between the tissues and cell, then the healing is great. If somebody has been into the bodybuilding or working out, you understand you have to break down the muscle to create more muscle. So when the expansion and contraction of life happens, separation is a big part of that experience. Now, the worst sense of separation is when you separate from your own core. If I separate from an experience, it is okay, maybe there's something in there, but if I move away from what works for me, what is your core makeup, if you get too far from it, you will feel that you're off or you're out of alignment within yourself, right? You're not in sync with your own spaces. And that for me, I think should be somewhat of a red flag. Something is feeling off, and then introvertedly or intuitively seeking why something is off. Is it just a situational thing, or have I moved too far away from my own sense of alignment? Things that speak to me in a God-given way. And I speak about this because we develop our gifts, we develop our skill sets, we live among people in society, and we have to understand that things are not always going to flow the way I want them to flow. It's not going to flow the way you want them to flow. Somewhere there's going to be a little diversion where it will create a separation. And the job is to understand, do I allow it to have scar tissue that will take more time to break down and create a longer terms of healing? Or do I observe it and kind of catch it in the beginning stages so I can pay attention to the healing processes or the growth or the strength that comes from it? So, just a very simple another example of here in my most simple way. I started walking again. I walk here and there, but I'm walking at long distances. And I'm very excited about it. And 2 days in a row, I would start walking in about half a mile by shin would burn as crazy. My one ankle burns as crazy. And so I kept asking myself, what is this about? What is going on? Because it was fine a few days ago. And I'm also realizing the more I'm continuing to walk, I know my right leg is more stronger than my left leg, because the way it allows me to push the earth in my stride. But at the same time, I had taken time to stop enough to recalibrate itself. I've also had sips of water so that if there's anything to be moved through circulation and hydration, it does its job. And one time I just do some stretching in the middle of my walk, because I know if I keep walking, either I'm going to hurt something or this is going to make me stop and shorten my goal. And that's what I feel I'm talking about. When these type of separations or distractions come into our life, it's okay to pause for just enough while to say, what about this is asking me to sense whatever this is about. And there was definitely nothing wrong with me, my strength, my desire, my want to be in that space. It was just a physical thing. So I had to go, and yesterday I found myself just rubbing my shin with a bottle of water I had in my hand, because the muscles needed to be softened or breaking down. And I did my stretches and everything. But I did my whole trek. But the thing is to not let loose of something is becoming a part of discovery. Now the discovery says there's something, deficit is there for me. I will probably go and talk to a physical therapist or do something about it. But that's what we see. We do our part. We do that in our healing prayers. I will do my part. And that's the agreement within a relationship, is when the relationship between one human to the other, or one experience to the other, is happening. If I'm continuing to do my part, it is seldom is there, if the two ends will do their part, the results and the outcomes are much favorable. And just like it says, one wheel is not enough to make things run. You have to have two wheels, right? The other one has to pick up some amount of pace. If it's locked up, frozen in their own pattern, it's going to burn out a gear, which means the scar tissue that will take more time to repair and heal that process. So we are here in this wonderful spiritualist circle. This is about life. This is about the laws of nature. This is nothing new that I'm speaking about. I'm just giving simple words through my own experience, and whoever else is guiding these pieces. You have to investigate what part of my life, or wherever I am, if something is really not conducive to the productive outcome or the positive side, how do we fix that? So if you're developing your gift set, mediumship, psychic abilities, healing abilities, anything that is not flowing, perhaps ask that flow to reveal itself. What about that? I need to understand. Not that I'm less, or I'm failing, or I'm not the best instrument. Oh, all that can be worked out. But if it is not for you, then that will tell you it's not for you. And you need to understand to find another different track from that part. So it's not about giving up. It's about finding the rhythm to your own true self. And inevitably, we all have spent time or given time to things that were not productive to our optimal growth. And then again, we don't want that, because it takes more time to get back on track. So there is such thing as a natural law of exploration, and we're going to laugh about it because we got lost one time, and then we were struggling to find our way back to the main road, main course, and then we said, oh well, we are spiritualists, we'll go with the natural law of exploration, we'll explore wherever we are. And it turned out to be a wonderful thing. And that's where I feel a part of that comes back to that place, is like, if I'm feeling lost, might as well explore where I am. It will teach me, it will give me tools to be excitable with the journey that we have. So life is changing, so we understand the change is a constant piece, it's always changing. But right along with changes is that separation, then coming together, or unity, and diversion, and all that thing is in the middle of the change. And that you have to recognize your part in it. And the journey within the growth and development comes in a very beautiful manner. So the Harmonial Philosophy book was present here as I walked up here. So if you are a reader, I would want you to know this is a good read. It's written a long time ago, but it's still valuable. And I will read a little paragraph here, and just very simply, because whoever was here had something to do with it. This was during the autumn of 1849 and the spring of the following year. In this manner, there passes into record the beginning of the psychic, intellectual, and literary life which Davis was to lead henceforward. His books are its landmarks, and to all intents and purposes they represent it so fully that the bibliography of his writings at the end of the present volume might be taken as a sufficient supplement to present biographical notes. He was an active and ready lecturer on the harmony of philosophy. He was connected. So, I have not read this book, but this is where I was drawn to, so I marked this place. But once again, it ties into this part of our conversation. At any point in our life, wherever we're feeling, we are not arriving at something. But to understand, even for that moment, you were ready to be there. We're always in the right place at the right time. Our humanness creates the limitation and the restriction through our own interpretation, through our own experiences. You know, like you would understand, in these spaces, Davis was already ready to write things that he was given through a download from Spirit and his own ability to be in a seance or a trance space. So he has written volumes. There is beautiful writing from Andrew Jackson Davis. If you ever have the ability to read them, I would strongly recommend, because they are still valuable in terms of understanding what he was discerning about the creation and life and so forth. And this Harmony of Philosophy, this book itself, I feel has a lot of value in it as I was just browsing through some of the pages. But in 1849, this was the discernment that he had already produced volumes that would be helpful to us. So, old is gold, and I believe in that part. There's a lot of value in our ancestral information. We have to adapt, which means we have to allow this thing to rise and fall till we find the sweet spot for our own self individually. But at the same time, we really cannot dismiss some of the old values and the old knowledge that we have been given. So please recognize that. So what are we doing at the end of August? How many months do we have before Christmas? Who's ready for Christmas? I am 365. Just because my name is Joy, I didn't say that. But what I'm wanting to say is this is also my time to understand that we're going to go into the fall season, and I am being drawn to say this. And this is the time for me to start to hibernate within my own spirit, already prepared for the winter time, where I take inventory of what has not worked out, what I would like to change about myself first. I can only change the world if I can change myself. So I go into that deeper reflection, I will start progressing here into the next month. I'll start taking inventory. My failures, my lacks, anything that I wanted to do, didn't go anywhere, or I really took a long detour somewhere. And that always is a possibility for all of us, but at the same time, it sets me to the tone that when I approach that winter time, I'm in a deeper, contemplative, meditative state. And I'm listening. My ears and eyes are listening and seeing that is non-verbally and non-visually present for me. And I usually am finding myself, it has been the case, Spirit world amps me up to my next thing. And it has a wonderful space for my growth and expansion. And I will say this, I can feel my adhesions, I can feel my scar tissues when that growth comes along. Flexibility is compromised. I'm not as soft and pliable because I have to break free of those things to get into something new. I have to drop some of my old patterning, some of my own old values, and we all have them. And just understand that limiting feeling that you have is not the circumstances, it's our own ability to break free and adapt to the new circumstances. So the world's going to change, it will continue to change. This 96-degree weather is not waiting on anybody to cool down. It's going to do its job. But at the same time, how do we adapt to it? We find an umbrella, swimming pool, or whatever, sprinkler, It's our choice. And that's the beautiful part for our lives is we all have choices. I was given this thing, joy, you have a choice. You have a choice. And I keep that very close to my heart because it was an external physical voice that reminded me of that possibility. And every time I feel stuck now, I hear those words very loud and clear. You have a choice. No matter how difficult, tumultuous, complicated circumstances are, you always will have a choice. So, what are you going to do about it? That's the big question that I would want to leave you with, to contemplate upon. Then you have a choice, you know your choice, what are you going to do about it? And thank you for being here.